What's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review. And today we're taking a look at the brand new Marvel Legends Spider-Man Retro Wave Scarlet Spider. And let's go ahead and jump right into it, starting off with this awesome packaging. I love the packaging that they use for the retro Spider-Man figures. I think it looks amazing. Obviously, it's inspired by the old school packaging that Toy Biz used to use back in the days, and I love it. It always kind of hurts to take these figures out of their packaging. I really wish that they would make it collector friendly, but we all know the reason why they don't. It is what it is, but it looks amazing in there. As you could see, we could see Ben Reilly with all the accessories that he comes with. We have some cool looking artwork on this side. Up on the top, it does say Spider-Man in that awesome old school Spider-Man animated series font. And then on the back, we have this old school looking graphic that kind of shows the features of the figure. In this case, it's interchangeable hands, and that's it. And then over here, we have some cool looking artwork. And then we have one sentence of information about the very famous clone of Spider-Man known as Ben Reilly, aka Scarlet Spider. But yeah, this looks amazing. So, you know, like I said, it always hurts to open up the packaging, but it must be done because I'm very excited about this figure. So enough about the pretty box. Let's go ahead and get Ben Reilly out and take a look. And so here we have the Scarlet Spider right out of the packaging. And man, Ben Reilly is looking really, really good. Hasbro did a great job on this figure. In fact, you know what? I think they absolutely killed it. This dude turned out nice. And you know, when it comes to Marvel Legends, sometimes, like some of their figures they kind of have like a lower quality feel, you know, like you take them out of the packaging and like the joints feel weird, or things are gummy, or they have like a weird shine to them, or, you know, there's these little things that kind of make them feel lower quality. And then on the opposite side of that, every now and then they come out with a figure that feels very high quality, where everything feels good. The joints are tight, but not too tight. Everything moves nicely, and the figure just looks really, really good. And it's a pleasant experience to actually play around with it. And, you know, they just kind of feel higher quality. And that's kind of where Scarlet Spider falls for me. As soon as I took it out of the box, I was like, oh damn, this thing is this thing is nice. I already knew that it was a good looking figure seeing it through the packaging, but once I actually felt the figure in hand, I definitely started to appreciate it a little bit more because the figure feels really good and it's fun to play around with. So yeah, man, like I said, they absolutely killed it. And you know, we have seen this body several times before. It's the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man body, which is kind of the evolution of the retro Spidey from a few years ago. And we've seen it on other characters like Daredevil and Deadpool. And I think it's a really good buck. It works perfectly for characters like Daredevil and Deadpool, but I think it works very well for like an adult Spider-Man as well, you know? And that translates perfectly to Scarlet Spider because when he popped up like this, you know, him and Peter Parker were pretty old at that point. I mean, they weren't old, but I always felt like they were like in their early to mid 20s kind of. They weren't like teenagers or anything like that. So I think this body works very well for that era of Spider-Man. And you know, I know a lot of people dislike the shoulders on this buck, and that's valid, but I think in this case, like it just kind of all works together because of the sweater, and you know, the small shoulders aren't really as much of an issue as they have been on some previous figures. I think this looks fine. So yeah, it's a good looking figure. And as far as like the details go, there's not a whole lot to talk about, you know, but I do think they did a good job where they needed to. Taking a look very quickly here, starting off at the head, there's not a whole lot going on here, but I do think this is a good looking Scarlet Spider head sculpt. I like the shape of the eyes with the pointy edges and stuff. And yeah, not a whole lot going on, but it does look good. And then moving on to the jacket, I think they did a great job with the jacket. Check out the spider there. The paintwork on that is very clean and it's a good size. I like how we have like this area that kind of looks ripped. Same thing down here. He's kind of got a crop top thing going. And then on the back, the spider looks good. And then he does have his hood. And eventually, you know, when I get an extra one of these, I'd want to replace this with a soft goods jacket. But for now, I think this looks really good. And then moving down to here, this belt is a floating piece, so you could adjust that. His web shooters are also like a floating piece, so if you want to remove those for whatever reason, you can. And then down here around the ankles, he has these little pouches, which are, you know, like a separate piece. They're not actually sculpted onto the figure. I don't think, anyways. Yeah, they're not sculpted on. But if you want to remove those, you'd have to take the feet off or something. But yeah, you know, they did what they needed to do. Obviously, there's not a whole lot of details, but I think the figure looks good. And, you know, they definitely did a good job on the areas that needed it. And Scarlet Spider doesn't really come with a whole bunch of accessories. All we get are 3 different sets of hands. So we have a pair of fists, a set of open wall crawling hands, and then we have a set of thwip hands. So, you know, that's about it. It would be nice if he came with a little bit more. It would be cool to get an updated, unmasked Ben Reilly head. But, you know, it's a standard Marvel Legends figure. They never come with that many accessories. I think 3 sets of hands are pretty good, so I do appreciate them. And then now for some size comparisons. Here we have them alongside the Mafex Scarlet Spider and Hasbro's first Marvel Legends Scarlet Spider. And I still think this is a pretty good figure, but the new one is better in pretty much every single way. It's more posable, it looks better, and mostly they handled the sweater a lot better on the new version. On the old one, you know, it just, the whole torso is the sweatshirt, so it's like very tight on the body, or it appears to be very tight on the body, and you know, it's kind of boring. On the new one, it's like an overlay piece, so it actually looks like an article of clothing over, you know, his Spider-Man costume. So I think it's much more effective on this new one. And you know, I love the Mafex Scarlet Spider, but in some ways I think the Marvel Legends one has it beat in certain areas. I don't know if overall it's a better figure, but I will say in some ways I like the Marvel Legends one a little bit more than the Mafex one. But you know, the Mafex, it's a beautiful figure for sure. You know, both of them are awesome, so it's nice to have 2 really great options for Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider-Man right now. And next we have him alongside the Mafex Classic Spider-Man and the Mezco Classic Spidey. And it kind of boggles my mind that Mezco hasn't done a Scarlet Spider yet. They've done a bunch of other Spider-Man figures. They've done 2 classic comic versions, Spider-Man 2099, Black Suit Spidey, a bunch of movie ones, and some of them are really nice, especially Spider-Man 2099. That's one of my favorite Mezco Spider-Man figures. They killed it on that. But none of the designs for those characters work as well with the Mezco aesthetic as Scarlet Spider would. To me, it seems like a no-brainer. They love doing Spider-Man figures, and sometimes the designs don't really work with their aesthetic, but I feel like Scarlet Spider is perfect. So hopefully they get to that eventually. I think Scarlet Spider and Spider-Man Noir are 2 characters that Mezco could do perfectly with their style, and it would work really well. The design and their aesthetic would like match up perfectly. So hopefully they get to that eventually. And then here we have him alongside the Mafex Venom and Carnage. Next up, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Jackal and the Marvel Legends Lizard. And then next, we have him alongside the Marvel Legends Shocker and the Marvel Legends Venom. And as for the articulation, there are no surprises here, especially if you already have any of the other figures that are on this buck, then obviously you know exactly what to expect out of Scarlet Spider-Man. I will say though, I think this body works really well for Spider-Man, Daredevil, any type of character that needs to get into dynamic poses. This body is definitely capable of that. So yeah, I think it's a good buck from an articulation standpoint, and it works well for Spider-Man. So I like that they used it. But let's go ahead and see what we have going on, starting off at the head. The only thing that sucks about this body is the neck. The neck is ridiculous. And yeah, you know, you guys already know what's up with the neck, but it definitely sucks. He can only look up to about right there. And you know, we have those big old gaps under the head. It looks pretty ridiculous. And then he could look down to about right there. He could look side to side, which is nice. And we get a little bit of tilt action, which is always cool. But I really wish they would rework the neck on this buck because, yeah, that's ridiculous. And then for the torso, he does have a diaphragm cut under the shirt and a ab crunch down here. So using both of those, we get some pretty good range. The sweatshirt does not hinder the articulation at all, really. So that's awesome to see. Then we get a little bit of side-to-side action. And then he can twist on that diaphragm. So, yeah, that's awesome right there. I'm really happy that this doesn't hinder any movement. And then he does have butterfly joints at the shoulders. And I think the butterfly joints on this body are okay compared to like the Vulcan body where it's all messed up. I think on this buck, we don't have that problem. So yeah, we get some butterfly movement there. And then the arms are on ball joints, so they do go all the way around. It is a little hard to engage the butterfly joint going forward because of the sweatshirt. But, you know, it doesn't really hinder it too much. You could still get them into nice punching poses and things like that. So, you know, I kind of want to take the sweatshirt off and see if I could, like, maybe trim away at stuff in there just to get some more movement since everything is covered, you know? But yeah, the butterfly joints on this figure are pretty good. And then he does have upper bicep swivel, a double jointed elbow that gets a good bend. The hands are able to swivel and hinge. And then here at the hips and upper thighs and stuff, he has drop down hips that come down only to like they don't come down all that much. They come down a little bit. Then you're able to bring his leg forward to about right there. I mean, I feel like the drop down hip on this figure doesn't really do all that much. I feel like you probably would have been able to do that without the drop down hip, but you know, it is what it is. It's not like it hinders anything. And they're pretty solid, so you know, the drop down hip is fine in this case. I just wish that it allowed for a little bit more movement, but yeah, he could kick forward to about right there. He could kick out to the side to about right there. Can't really go back too much. He does have upper thigh swivel, double jointed knee, which gets a good bend. And then he does have a swivel at the lower leg right here, awkwardly placed in the calf muscle. And then his feet are able to go up to right there, come down to right there. He has rocking ankles and then toe hinge, which is always awesome on a Spider-Man figure. So yeah, you know, great articulation on this body. Definitely a whole lot of fun to play with. You could get him into all kinds of cool Spider-Man poses. You could get him into a decent crouching pose too. Look at that. Ooh, nice. So yeah, I think this is a great body for Spider-Man. It's definitely a lot of fun to play with and has some great articulation. So I'm very happy with it. Alrighty, so overall, at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, the dust settles, and it's all said and done, yes, this is a simple repaint. And no, there's not a whole lot of new things going on here. And yeah, we have seen this buck several times before, but I still think this is a really, really nice figure, and I feel like Hasbro absolutely killed it. It's definitely the best Scarlet Spider that we've seen in the Marvel Legends line, and in my opinion, in some ways, it does rival the Mafex Scarlet Spider, so that's saying a lot for a Legends figure. But yeah, I think this body is really good for Ben Reilly. It's got a bunch of articulation. It really works for any version of like a grown-up Spider-Man, so I think that it was a good choice to use this body. I would love to see them use this same buck on Spider-Man 2099. I'm surprised they haven't done that yet, but hopefully they'll get to that eventually. In my opinion, this buck is just a lot of fun to play with, you know? It's got great articulation, great posability, and you could do a lot of fun stuff with it, so it works with Spider-Man, and, you know, like I said, the size works for an older Spider-Man like Ben Reilly. The only thing where this figure is kind of lacking is definitely accessories. I do wish that he came with a little bit more. I do appreciate the hands, but this would have been a good opportunity to give us an updated Ben Reilly head sculpt. I was never a fan of the one that was released in the retro Marvel Legends Scarlet Spider from like years ago. I never liked that head sculpt. Actually, I don't even have that figure because I had the first release. I didn't need that one. But anyways, this right here is definitely the best Marvel Legends Scarlet Spider. I think that Hasbro did a great job with like the sweatshirt and everything and putting it on there, but still maintaining pretty much all the articulation in the torso area. All the colors look good. It'd be cool to get this in like a cell shaded version, you know? Or Hasbro's been doing like the animated series style Spider-Man figures where they're basically just repaints of other versions. It'd be nice to get like an animated repaint of this Scarlet Spider on this body. I think that would turn out pretty dope. But yeah, man, I think that Hasbro did a great job on this guy, and I'm very happy to have it. And with that, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Also, be sure to hit the bell notification so you know every time that I go live. Thank you very much. Peace.